Hello, good morning, and welcome to Unacademy IAS, a one stop destination for all the English medium civil services aspirants. Welcome to the daily news analysis or the Hindu news analysis dated 28th May 2025. This is Shyam Kaggod here, taking up the discussion. To make the discussion comprehensive, today I've taken a total of 11 articles, 9 from the daily edition of the Hindu newspaper, and 2 from Indian Express. One of them is related to the science and technology, and the other one associated with science and technology as well as ecology and environment. This has been made comprehensive in order to ensure that whatever is your requirement to ace the civil services examination will be addressed. So before I start the discussion, please do let me know in the chat section that I'm audible and visible for all of you. Am I audible and visible? Please do let me know. Done. Let's start then. So before I take up a very important announcement. First one, in today's Hindu newspaper, in text and context page, there is a very big article regarding why there is onset of monsoon before the date that was announced by IMD. Early onset of monsoon. I will not be discussing that because Mukesh sir has agreed to take up a separate discussion on that particular topic. So please do check out the video that will be done by Mukesh sir later on the early onset of monsoon. Second, I was going through certain comments in yesterday's video. There were two comments which stated that the PDF of my session is not available. I reiterate this. The PDF of this session that I'm taking today, as well as yesterday, and the earlier sessions, all of them are available on my Telegram channel. And this is the QR code. Scan, join, and download. And after the session is over, even after today's session, this PPT will be uploaded. Third one, those who are preparing for the civil services exams 26 and 27, please follow 5 principles to ace the exam. 1. Have a comprehensive coverage of the static portion. Update that with the current affairs. Attempt a test series, prelims as well as a mains test series. And the fifth one is have a comprehensive notes or good reading material. All of this is available if you take our course, which is available at a discounted price of 19,999. And if you use the code IAS English, you will also get an extension of 12 months free of cost. Those who are interested, do check out the details by clicking on the link provided in the description below. Now, let me start. Very nice articles or important articles have been given in the editorial page today. The first one is associated with energy and efficiency. Point number one. Let's start the discussion now. Point number one, with the rise in the population and with the aim of becoming a developed country, for India, there will be higher need for electricity production over a period of time. This is not negotiable. Nobody has to disagree with me. It's a fact. With the higher population, with the higher need to produce more and more goods and services, in order to become a developed country, you require higher energy, higher production of electricity. But please understand this, with more and more electricity production that might come from, let's say, the thermal sources, that is the coal and gas, there is also concern that more pollution will happen. It will cause lot of pollution. And not to forget, if you want to produce more electricity, you'll have to develop lot of production capacity as well. That is, you need to construct thermal energy plants. You need to invest a lot of money. You need to import coal from the rest of the world or the western markets, etc. So there is right, or there will be a lot of investment that is required, lot of right manpower that is required, lot of money that is need to be done, and import dependence in addition to the cause of pollution or contribution to the pollution. So what is the solution then? And I'm emphasizing on the thermal because majority of the electricity that is produced in India, majority of the power that has been produced in India historically has come from coal and gas, and is coming from coal and gas itself. That is according to the article here. 70% of the energy that is produced in India is from coal. So concern is there is a need to produce more because there will be a demand for higher energy in the coming days. But at the same point of time, because we are producing more through thermal sources, it will contribute to pollution. It also has certain constraints. So the solution that has been discussed in the article is rather than focusing on more capacity addition, to produce more and more electricity, why don't we focus on efficiency of energy or the electricity that is produced? Efficiency. Focus on the efficiency rather than focusing on the capacity addition. Now, before you start asking me, sir, what do you mean by energy efficiency here? I'll just give you one example which is also quoted in the article. You must have seen in lot of our households right now, we are using LED bulbs, correct? Light emitting diode bulbs. What is the advantage of LED bulbs compared to or over the traditional bulbs that we used to use or incandescent bulbs that we earlier used? LED bulbs can give you the same amount of brightness but at a lesser consumption of electricity. They will consume lesser, right, electricity compared to the traditional bulbs but will give you the same output. So here is an example where consumption of electricity or requirement of electricity is lesser, but the output is same. I'll give you one more example. Whenever you go to purchase, let's say AC, there will be a star rating given on ACs. The seller will tell you if you purchase this AC, they will consume lesser amount or lesser units of electricity, but will give you same amount of cooling effect. So this is essentially called as a energy efficiency. So one way is produce more and more electricity because the demand is there, supply. But the other way is, let's imagine you're producing the same quantity or same units of electricity. But if you use the energy efficiency with the same amount, now greater outcomes can be achieved. And the article basically talks about promotion of energy efficiency. One initiative that has been mentioned, which I would basically tell all the students who are writing the mains examination this year, be very careful, is the initiative of Ujala. Unnata Jyoti affordability through LED lights. Right? Unnata Jyoti affordability through LEDs. This initiative was launched by Government of India a decade ago. And this year, it is going to complete 10 years. This year, it is going to complete 10 years. And that's the reason I said, anybody who is aiming to write the mains exams this year, be aware of this initiative. Because the practice or the trend of UPSC has been that whenever an initiative completes 5 years or 10 years, they tend to, not guaranteed, they tend to pick up this scheme, ask you to critically evaluate or let's say discuss this initiative in the mains examination. So one initiative that is going to complete 10 years this year is Ujala initiative. What essentially was done by the government of India under Ujala initiative? This was a part of National LED program. National LED program. Under National LED program, the government of India wanted to basically promote more and more usage of LED bulbs, not only in the households, but also in other areas as well. That is, let's say, the street lights. The street lights. And that is a precise reason. There is one more component here. Street light LED program or street light national program, under which the street lights which were used, let's say at panchayat level and many of these office buildings, etc., all these street lights were replaced with LED bulbs. So as a result of Ujala initiative, where the households were essentially promoted to purchase and use the LED bulbs. And this was done how? Remember, the government of India set up an SPV. What is an SPV? SPV stands for a special purpose vehicle. Special purpose vehicle. SPV stands for special purpose vehicle. And what is the meaning of a special purpose vehicle? Any entity which has been set up, again I'm talking in this context, Don't basically extrapolate this to financial market and say, sir, you're wrong. SPV in the financial market means something else. No, I'm talking about government agencies here. A special purpose vehicle is an entity or an authority which has been set up to achieve a specific objectives. For example, in case of the LED program, the government of India set up as SPV by the name of EESL, Energy Efficiency Services Limited. I'll give you one more example. You must have heard of Bullet Train Project. Bullet Train Project. This was also there in the newspaper for some time now. So, in case of Bullet Train Project, the government of India had set up one more SPV there. That is essentially named as High Speed Rail Corporation. So, in order to achieve the specific objectives, government can set up SPVs which will perform specific functions only. So, come to the point here. The government of India, through EESL, through various other initiatives, ensured that the LED bulbs, which were earlier very costly, the price of the LED bulbs were brought down. Today in the market, you can easily get LED bulbs within a price range of 100 rupees. And of course, with more wattage of the LED bulb, the price will also keep on varying. But earlier, the price of the LED bulbs, which were in the range of 500 rupees, 600 rupees, 700 rupees, have been dragged down to merely around 100 rupees now. So these LED bulbs were made accessible, were made affordable to the households for purchasing as well as utilizing. At the same point of time, Government of India also conducted various programs. Right, lot of education was provided, or lot of ads were done, even by the state governments for that matter, where there was right education imparted or knowledge imparted to the consumers as to why they should shift from a normal bulb to an LED bulbs in terms of, let's say, the savings that you can do over a period of time. So the essence of the article is, right now the focus is more and more on capacity addition in India. The government of India is announcing, right, let's say multiple projects, announcing multiple schemes to essentially promote investment by the private sector in renewable energy, in thermal energy, right, in solar, wind energy, etc. Rather than focusing on the capacity addition alone, you should focus on promotion of energy efficiency as well. And what is the benefit? At the end of the day, what is the benefit of promoting energy efficiency? Think of this. If you want to consume more electricity, you'll have to invest more money. And when you invest more money, let's say in the coal production plant or let's say thermal power plant, it will also contribute to emissions. Now, instead of producing more and having all of these outcomes, why not promote energy efficiency? And if you promote energy efficiency, you do not have to invest more money, right? The amount of investment can be curtailed, right? You can save certain amount of investment because of that. And because you're focused on energy efficiency, the emissions can also be controlled. Emissions can also be contained, right? Without having to produce more and more thermal energy in it. So these are certain points associated with the first article. Be careful. Questions can be asked on the concept of energy efficiency, can be asked on the initiatives of Government of India, because these are completing 10 years, 5 years, etc. Okay, so based on this, two questions. One, the question is for descriptive answer writing. Second one is an MCQ. First question, descriptive answer writing. India needs to focus on energy efficiency rather than just the capacity addition. Elaborate the statement. A 15 marker question. You'll have to write in 250 words. Please try it out. An MCQ here. I've given only one MCQ today. Multiple descriptive answer writing assignments. How many of the following reforms or measures promote energy efficiency in India? First, star labeling of appliances. Second, Bharat NCAP. Third one, Ujala. Choose the correct option. Choose the correct option. Mishri Chaudhary says C. Rakesh Gowda says C. Why, my dear? Usually I give C, that is the reason C. Lakshmi also says C. My dear, right option is option B. Right option is option B. All of you are saying C. Very good. Right option is option B. Why? Star labeling of appliances. Definitely right. It's correct. It's correct. Why? 1 star, 2 star, 3 star. Oh, based on that, you can decide to purchase the one with the highest star rating so that it will be more energy efficient. Second, Bharat NCAP. What is this Bharat NCAP? This was there in the newspaper couple of months ago. Bharat NCAP, it is basically to assess how safe is your car. I hope you understand. The safety of car. For example, in case of accidents, how safe is your car? Generally, we follow the Euro NCAP, right? Compared to that particular model, we have a safety assessment model in India that is called as a Bharat NCAP. The second one is associated with the safety of the car, not energy efficiency. Third one is Ujala. Definitely, yes. Just now we have discussed Ujala is associated with the promotion of the energy efficiency. So one is correct, three is correct. Right option is option B, only two. Okay, so be very careful. Don't make these kind of silly mistakes in the exam. Straightforward question, easy question. Let me go forward. Rising over nutrition. Rising over nutrition. Now, very important article if you ask me. What is the reason? Again, I'm trying to connect it to the mains examination. Reason being, very recently, economic survey was published. I'm pretty sure all of you know this. The government of India came out with economic survey. One such chapter that covered this particular issue, that is agriculture chapter, there was a detailed discussion in a box format regarding junk food supply in India. That is unhealthy food production and supply and consumption in India. What were the recommendation of economic survey? I've given the table here. I'll come to this later. Don't worry. But I feel this article, there is very high probability of this question being asked in the mains examination coming up now. Reason being, from the last 1 year, there has been lot of discussion associated with rising burden of obesity people, or rising, right, the scare of the obesity as well as diabetes in India. Even the Prime Minister spoke about this in his speeches, etc. So that's a reason. These are the indicators. These are the cues that you have to take and basically find out, okay, this can be a probable question in the mains. But anyways, let me start the discussion. Simple points. The writer simply says there is a paradoxical situation in India. There is a paradoxical situation. India faces a paradox. And before you start typing, sir, what is a paradox? There is often a quote that is used, that is two Indias. How many of you heard of this? Two Indias. They basically mention that there are two Indias, right? And what is the context of using the metaphor of two Indias? They will talk this in the context of inequality. What kind of inequality? Wealth inequality. They'll say only small percentage of population is very rich and large population is very poor. They will talk about this when they talk about rural urban divide. They talk about two Indias when they talk about inequalities between men and women. They talk about two Indias in the context of caste divides in India. So I hope you understand this. The term two Indias has been used to represent multiple types of inequalities or issues that are existing, that are prevalent in India. To all of this, add one more now. Add one more. That is, two Indias and now can be in the context of nutrition as well. It can be in the context of access to nutrition. This access to nutrition, what the writer simply says is the population in India can be divided into two parts. One part of the population which is not getting sufficient nutrition, undernutrition. They are not able to get sufficient access to nutrition. And there is another part of the population which is getting excess access to nutrition. I'll give you examples. Excess. Sir, what do you mean by undernutrition as well as overnutrition? And that is a paradoxical situation that is present. Paradox, opposites. That is a paradox that you can observe in India. I'll give you a couple of examples. Have a look at this. According to National Family Health Survey, NFHS, according to National Family Health Survey 5, for the duration 2019 to 2021, it basically stated that more than 20% of adult population in India, I repeat, more than 20% of adult population in India is obese. It is obese. And there is one more estimation given by ICMR, Indian Council for Medical Research. It says more than 11% of India's population, more than 11%, exactly it is 11.4%, according to 2023 estimates, 11% of India's population has a diabetes, suffers from diabetes. Now just think of this. The population is obese. More than 11% of the population suffers from diabetes. What do you think are the causes? Don't you think the causes are eating unhealthy foods? All of you able to understand this? They are consuming lot of unhealthy foods, that is ultra processed foods. The foods which are right having a very high sodium, the foods which are calorie dense but lack any kind of a nutritional composition. So this is the population which is consuming lot of nutrition, a lot of food, but lacks nutrition, calorie dense food, etc. But at the same point of time, if you look at what is India's ranking at the Global Hunger Index, according to the latest data, India's ranking in the Global Hunger Index is that it is ranked at 105th position out of 127 countries, which also shows that there is a prevalence of hunger in India. Certain population is not able to get access to sufficient quantity of food in India. This is the paradox that the writer is talking about. This is the kind of paradox. Some part of population eating too much, suffering because of that. Some part of the population not getting sufficient nutrition and suffering because of that. And mind you, whether it is overnutrition or undernutrition, both will harm Indian society. Both will harm the economic potential in India. Both are not good for growth and development of India. So, what is the solution in the context of right overnutrition? What is the solution to the problem of overnutrition? Because it will contribute to population which is obese in India. It will contribute to population which suffers because of diabetes in India. So, what is the solution? The writer simply recommends certain way forward. One recommendation that has been provided by the writer is, can we impose a higher amount of taxes on unhealthy foods? In fact, whatever recommendations have been given by the writer, same recommendations were also given in the economic survey. Let me give you these kind of recommendations, and if you write a mains answer, right, this is my advice to you. When you write a mains answer, always quote recommendations of experts. Always quote recommendations if you have it from, let's say, committee reports, from economic survey, etc. Please do not give your own recommendations, because many points of time your recommendations may not be appropriate. They may not be appropriate. That's a reason. Please use the recommendations of a committee report, economic survey, or an expert, etc. They will carry more water. They will carry more weightage. So, what are the recommendations given by economic survey? Point number one, have a look at this. The Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, the FSSAI, could consider bringing up UPFs, ultra processed foods. UPF is nothing but ultra processed foods, under the regulation with a clear definition and standards, including very strict labeling requirements. In fact, this has been tried. I hope you understand. Right? It has been tried, by the way. The safety authority earlier had tried bringing in, back in 2022, concept of health star rating, just like the labeling on ACs, TVs, etc. They had proposed a health star rating even for processed foods. There is a large scale opposition. Many experts pointed out the lacunae in the health star rating, and that is a precise reason, though proposal is there, they are yet to implement it. But economic survey has recommended that. Can this right authority implement regulations with clear definition of what is a processed food, that is ultra processed foods? And can we have a star rating even for these particular foods? That is the first recommendation. Second one, can we improve monitoring of branded products to ensure compliance with which will build the consumer confidence? What do you mean by this? I'll just connect it to one more current affairs article. How many of you heard of Khandsari sugar? Please do let me know. Khandsari sugar. This was there in the newspaper in the last 2 weeks. Khandsari sugar. Right, this is essentially a type of sugar only. That is untreated sugar. If you're wondering, sir, what is the connection to what you're discussing now? Very recently, the government of India issued an order bringing the units which are producing the Khandsari sugar of more than 500 tons capacity, that is sugar crushing capacity per day, under the sugar control order. Khandsari sugar essentially is nothing but the sugar which is brown colored, which is nothing but a brown colored sugar. That is when you crush the sugar cane, you will produce sugar. You will treat this particular sugar. Chemical treatment is done to basically make it as white crystalline sugar. So untreated, that is called as a brown sugar. The government of India has warned that many of the companies which are selling this particular brown sugar or Khandsari sugar are basically selling it at a very, very premium price in the market, branding it as very healthy alternative. The fact is that yes, it is a healthier alternative, right? Compared to the white sugar, this kind of a Khandsari sugar is healthy, no doubt, because it doesn't have chemicals to the extent that the white sugar has. But it is not to be sold at a very, very premium price just because it is a healthy alternative. People don't understand the difference between a Khandsari as well as a normal sugar. They will simply sell it at a premium. And because people in India, a lot of people, by the way, are worried about their health now. They're worried about the calorie consumption. They're worried about the sugar intake. They do not understand the difference between a Khandsari as well as a white sugar. They will continue to consume this but pay very, very premium pricing. Right? And a lot of times this has been mislabeled as, and yes, there are certain variants of it as organic sugar and being sold to the consumers at a very, very high price. The argument is very simple. Better monitoring, better monitoring of all of these particular brands which are being sold in India. A lot of times you must have heard of or seen that in the YouTube shorts also, where the labeling will be saying something else, but the components in the product, in the food will be something else. Right? 100% fruits, they will say. But it will be essentially a processed version of a, right, or having very small content of fruit and lot of content of sugar syrup. I hope you understand the argument here. Third one, a lot of times some of the experts will argue that we should go for self regulation. We should go for self regulation. That is, don't impose regulation, let the companies self regulate themselves. Economic survey says this has not worked out. A survey was conducted in 22 countries where the self regulation was actually implemented. It has been found that self regulation doesn't work out. It is not working out, which means you will have to impose the regulations on them because they will not be implementing or they will not be following the self regulation methodology. Next one, the consumer protection efforts must be strengthened. Whenever there is a mislabeling, mismarketing, wrong marketing, etc., there should be certain provisions which will prohibit and penalize these particular companies. Next one, a higher tax rate. A higher tax rate on UPFs must be imposed. In fact, in this article, the writer has quoted the example of Saudi Arabia. The writer has quoted the example of Saudi Arabia, where very high amount of taxes are imposed on food products which have higher sodium, which have let's say, or which are classified under highly processed foods, etc. So can we emulate the same model, impose a tax on these particular products which are UPFs? Next one, generate greater awareness. The best way to curb this particular problem is generate awareness. People should be aware what to eat, how much to eat, etc., etc. Right? So argument is, right, the economic survey has given these kind of recommendations, and in fact, I hope you understand this. The Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, in fact, had started a campaign. An initiative was launched by FSSAI by the name of Eat Right Initiative. Eat Right Initiative, Eat Right campaign. Right, so this is expected to promote awareness amongst the people as to what foods are healthy, what are unhealthy, what quantity should be consumed in terms of fats, proteins, etc. etc. So these are certain important points associated with the problem of overnutrition in India, right? Basically opposed to the idea of undernutrition. That is also problem, right, seen in India. Then everybody is okay, right? So these are certain points. One more question for you to practice mains answer writing. India is facing a paradoxical nutritional landscape of overnutrition and undernutrition, which will harm the overall outcomes for the economy as well as the society. Elaborate 15 marker question in 250 minutes. Please try out. Try out these kind of questions. I'm saying try out because just imagine this. You have not read this particular article. You have not heard of this article. You have not read it. You did not hear me discussing this. And suddenly in the mains examination, this kind of a statement is provided by UPSC. Paradoxical situation of undernutrition as well as overnutrition. Trust me when I say this, lot of you will spend 5 minutes to just to understand what is this paradox that they are talking about. What is this undernutrition and overnutrition they are talking about? Because if it was only undernutrition, you could have easily written 250 words. I don't understand that. Because you have read, you know about it. You will easily write. But when they will use the term undernutrition as well as overnutrition, lot of you would be confused. That's a reason keep on reading these kinds of articles, keep on attempting these kind of questions which will build your confidence. Let me go forward. Next article. I'll just give you an update or let's say summation of what is being discussed. There is a story that is happening, certain events that are happening in USA. And the writer simply says this is just an example of a David versus Goliath. That is, understand this. One of the oldest universities in USA, Harvard University, has dragged the government of USA on their policies to the court. And right now, the judiciary there has imposed a certain restriction or a moratorium on the implementation of the policy. And in addition to this article, which is there in the central page, there is one more article in the first page, headlines itself. The government of USA is looking to slow down the processing of all student visas. What is the debate that has been happening here? And is it connected to right what you are studying for UPSC? Listen to me carefully. In case of USA's administration right now, there are multiple policies which are opposed to the traditional model of administration followed by the earlier governments. The earlier governments generally I'm saying, did not try to impose a certain restrictions on academic freedom, did not try to impose restrictions to the extent that this administration is doing whenever other people, especially foreigners, had a viewpoint, had a criticism against the policies of the USA government. But the current administration is very strict about it. They want to basically weed out any kind of opposition to their policies. They say there is freedom of speech, but you can't use that particular freedom of speech to criticize us. That's it. You want to right utilize the freedom of speech, use it, but not to criticize the administration. And especially if you're a foreigner who is there in USA trying to criticize the USA administration, they are not taking it lightly. And in addition to this, there is also right the viewpoint of the current administration, especially the Republican Party overall, that the universities generally promote the ideologies of Democratic Party, whereas whenever there is a talk, whenever there is opposition, whenever there is a support of Republican Party ideology, there is a suppression of these kind of movements. So as a result of all of this, what has happened is very simple. The university, that is the Harvard University, which comprises around 27% foreign students. Around 27% of the students are foreign students. Now, there is a regulation, there is a restriction which has been imposed on this university by the administration, which states that foreign students cannot be enrolled. You cannot enroll foreign students. Against this kind of a policy, Harvard has gone to the court, has filed a case, and the judiciary or the justice there or judge there has imposed a moratorium. That is, moratorium basically means a hold on this policy of the US administration. In addition to this, now the government of USA has a shot of a mail to all these embassies saying that do not create any additional capacity for issuing visas or conducting interviews for visas. That is specifically student visa. Meaning what? A student, whenever they want to enroll into Harvard, right, they will get enrolled, they will have to have visa, they will have to go through the interview process, right? There is a particular process that you need to follow, only then the visa will be issued, and the student visa you will take and go to USA. But for that, you need to take appointment. You need to take appointment. Now, these kind of appointments generally it takes a lot of time for you to get a date for appointment. And in such cases, the embassies can provide the appointments to these students seeking visas. Then interview will be over and then visa is issued. But now the US administration says we want to add one more layer of checks. We want to add one more layer of a check, right? That is, we want to check what is the viewpoint of this applicant, this student applicant, in terms of the government of USA policies. Is it anti-USA stand? Is it right? Let's say, for example, the tweets or the post on platform X. What kind of post have you done? Are the post in support of government of USA policy? The allies of USA? Are you supporting them or are you critical of them? Now the administration says we want to check all of it. And the reason which has been cited by the USA government is that lot of these universities are seeing protest, right? Or let's say certain activities which are against national security, and citing that the government of USA is imposing restrictions on foreign student admission into universities in USA, is imposing restrictions in terms of, right, issuing the pace at which the visas are issued to the students. Right, this is happening on one side, and I said on the other side, Harvard has dragged USA administration to the court, has got a stop, has got a moratorium on the order that has been issued. But the story doesn't end here. The story doesn't end. Harvard, understand this, Harvard University, one of the most reputed universities in the world, along with many other universities in USA, enjoys a certain tax benefits. There are a lot of tax benefits that they enjoy. For example, there is a term called as endowment. There is something called as endowment, university endowment. Meaning what? How much money is there with the university? A fund that is there with the university, which they can use to invest, earn profit, invest in other assets, etc. The endowment, a lot of contributions are done by many people. For example, alumni, lot of contributions are done by them. Wealthy people contribute to the endowment fund and they enjoy tax benefits on that. The government of USA now is saying if you do not fall in line, whatever tax benefits you are enjoying right now, we will simply cut the tax benefits. We will remove the tax benefits, and it is expected to have a huge impact on the profits or the endowment fund or the collections of monies through, right, let's say contributions by many people from the or by these particular universities. So this is happening on one side, but let's look at a larger picture. Let's look at a larger picture here. What is the impact of this kind of a policy? Why is the Trump administration trying to do this? Is the national security a valid argument? Many experts argue no. That is not a valid argument. What the Trump administration is trying to do is, one by one, they are trying to control any kind of authority, any kind of a administration, any kind of a stakeholder who is critical of the policies of the government. They want to ensure all these authorities will basically follow whatever has been given by or has been described, has been recommended by the Trump administration. And this is going to create a chilling effect. I hope you understand. This is going to create a chilling effect, because imagine one of the most reputed institutions, one of the most reputed universities in the world is being targeted by the administration, is being threatened by the administration. And when a fourth of the students are essentially foreign students, you're taking, right, or you're basically using that as a strategy to probe it, to basically push down a foreign university, a reputed university. That is going to create a chilling effect amongst all the other universities. And forget about universities, what about the students? What about the practitioners? What about the experts? What about the faculties? It is said many of these students who were earlier protesting, using one or the other cause or citing one or the other cause, now they are afraid of talking to the press. They do not want to come forward and give any kind of a statement. Why? They are worried. They are scared that I'm a foreigner. If I speak something against the administration, they might simply cancel my visa. Or next time when I go back on a holiday, I'm coming for a next semester. What if there is a visa delay? All of these will have a huge impact on the learning capacity. So this is one impact. Second one, this is basically providing an alternative as an opportunity for other countries. For example, China. China is basically pitching this idea of, right, having more foreign students in the universities now. Their argument is, why are you going to USA? Come to us. Right, basically come to us. We are also going to provide you very good quality education. And what is the impact of all of it? Just think of it. USA is USA today because of the contribution of migrant population. I hope you understand this. USA has become USA, or the USA, because of the contribution of the migrant population. As much as they want to deny it, it's a fact. They have also worked, migrant population also has contributed in terms of technology, in terms of right labor, in terms of intellectual contributions, etc. Migrant population has contributed. Now you want to basically cut that particular contribution. As a result of this kind of an intellectual, which could be, right, contributing to your economy, contributing to your defense, maybe 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line, might migrate to, let's say, European market, might migrate to, let's say, Chinese market, which they want to tap now. And this is not the only policy which is concerning, which many of the experts are raising is a problem. I'll give you one more example. USA is one of the prime countries in terms of outward remittances. Outward remittances. The government of USA has introduced a bill. Upon implementation of the provision, now they want to tax the outward remittances as well. They want to impose a tax of 3.5%. Many of the experts are saying this will basically push away the migrant population. Rather than coming to USA, they might simply go to European market. They might simply go to, right, Middle Eastern market, where they are welcoming now, where they want these kind of, right, let's say, working population. So I hope you understand these are certain important points that you need to understand in the context of Harvard versus the USA administration. Next article, civil disobedience campaign in Manipur. Right, something is happening in Manipur again. Couple of days ago, I had discussed regarding a festival. All of you remember this? One of the two festivals that is a state sponsored, the government sponsored in Manipur. Of course, I'm talking about Shurai Lily Festival. Right, that is named after a flower, state flower in Manipur. When this particular the festival was taking place, on the first day itself, there is an incident that has taken place, which has actually snowballed into a bigger issue now. There was an incident, and I'm pretty sure all of you know this. There were certain conflicts, certain, right, let's say, the issues that have happened in the state of Manipur in the last one and a half year, which has created an imbalance, which has created a situation of concern, right, in terms of, let's say, the people who are residing in the state. Now, when this particular festival was being inaugurated by, right, the administrator or the governor there, because it is under the president's rule now, a bus was carrying certain, right, journalists, and it was going to the place. And it is said that the security people stopped the bus, asked the people who are sitting in the bus to cover the name of Manipur state which was written on the bus. And the same video has been taken and it has been circulated widely now. But the argument is very simple here. After this was done by the security forces, and now there is a criticism. What is a criticism? The criticism is it is a state bus, that is the bus within the state of Manipur, which was taken by the state government itself to basically transport journalist or press person. Why are you covering the name of Manipur when the bus is traveling in the state of Manipur only? What is the logic behind that? Right, so argument is that this was criticized by the press person. They returned, they don't go to the festival, they returned back, and this now has snowballed. In fact, a day for yesterday, when the governor landed in the airport, there was a lot of protest. Lot of protest. The governor had to be airlifted. The governor had to be airlifted, mind you. There was a security concern. The governor was airlifted from the airport to the residence. So now there is a civil disobedience which has broken out in Manipur, where the protesters are going to the government offices. They are basically locking up the offices. At the same point of time, there are also negotiations or the talks that are taking place between the Ministry of Home Affairs as well as the representative groups, right, from the state of Manipur. So these are the two things that are taking place in Manipur. Be very careful. Now, next article. This is important for prelims examination. This is important. Pay attention now. India's first gene edited sheep. India's gene edited, first ever gene edited sheep, right, has been developed by Kashmir University. The name of the university is SKUAST, Sher A Kashmir University of Agriculture Sciences. Please remember this. Please remember this. That this is the first ever gene edited sheep in India. And I hope all of you remember this. You can add this to the collection of one more article that we have discussed in the last week, that is gene edited rice. Gene edited rice varieties in India. Rather than genetic modification, now we are focusing on gene additions or gene edited crop varieties as well as animal varieties. What is the importance of this? Point number one, it is not genetically modified, it is gene edited, which means, I hope all of you understand this, genes are modified, genes are changed in certain way so as to exhibit, so as to get a specific type of a outcome. So as to get a specific type of a outcome. What kind of a gene has been edited here? Remember this, right? The gene addition that has happened in this particular case has actually yielded the outcome of higher mass, higher muscle mass. 30% higher muscle mass has been achieved by editing this particular gene of sheep here. Done. So in addition to the gene addition of rice, now we also have gene addition of the sheep, and this is the first case in India. Okay, remember all of this. Next, another important article associated with ecology and environment. On the coast of Kerala, couple of days ago, a particular ship sank. The name of the ship, again, although not important, the name of the ship is MSC Elsa 3. MSC Elsa 3. On the coast of Kerala, this particular ship sank. Now there are concerns, right? Concerns associated with ecology and environment. What are the important points or the concepts you need to remember in the context of, right, let's say ship sinking like this? One is oil slick. Remember this. One is oil slick. These terminologies have been used in Indian Express, today's edition, Indian Express. Please make a note of all of these. Oil slick, right? What do you mean by oil slick? Whenever there is, let's say, a ship which is carrying containers, and in these containers, imagine there is oil. And for whatever reason, right, there is, right, let's say there is a leakage. And as a result of this, if the oil, right, will basically spill over on the water, you will see that there is a layer which is formed of oil, right? A very thin layer of oil is formed over the water. That particular layer of oil is called as oil slick. Everybody is okay with the term here? Oil slick. Please remember all of this. The second term I want you to remember is oil smothering. Oil smothering. Right? What do you mean by oil smothering? Whenever oil is present on the water, let's say fishes which are floating, or let's say the birds which want to catch the prey, when they'll basically touch the oil, right, or will basically enter into this water, their outer layer, right, they'll get coated with the oil. They will basically get coated with this particular oil layering, and that is called as oil smothering. Right? That is the second important point I want you to remember. Now, what is the connection to the current affairs here? Please understand, this ship is said to be carrying huge amount of oil. It was carrying diesel. It was also carrying furnace oil. It was carrying diesel as well as furnace oil. As of now, as of today, the officials have not yet clarified, or officials have not given any statement stating that there has been a leakage of oil. As of now, the statement is no, there has been no leakage of oil. But if it happens, right, both of these particular terminologies will come into discussion. Okay, these are the 2 points. Third important point, there is also one more concern. There is one more concern. What is the concern here? There is a early onset of monsoon. There is early onset of monsoon now. It has already entered into Kerala. Now, with the early onset of monsoon, the waves will start moving faster or stronger towards the coastline. The waves will basically start moving faster at the coastline now. The concern is that if at all there is a oil leakage that will happen, or oil spillage that will take place because of this kind of a movement of water or waves, you will see that a lot of this oil will be moving towards the coastline. It will essentially move towards the coastline. And if it comes towards the coastline, it will have a huge impact on the community which is residing in the coastal region. For example, let's say fishers. Correct? Fishers. The fishing community, or let's say the fishers who are present in this region, they will conduct their economic activity. If because of the onset of the monsoon, if the oil, let's say layer or the oil slick moves it towards the coastline, their economic activity would be affected. Not to forget the impact on marine ecosystem. Not to forget the impact on marine ecosystem. The fourth important point, which was mentioned in Indian Express, was the calcium carbide. Remember this, calcium carbide. In addition to the oil, it was also revealed that the vessel was carrying one more component called as a calcium carbide. Huge quantity of calcium carbide was being transported. What is the importance of calcium carbide here? Calcium carbide, when it will interact with water, basically forms acetylene. I hope you understand this. Right? It will form acetylene. A chemical calculation is there, or let's say chemical reaction will happen. It will form acetylene. And this acetylene, it is explosive when it will come into contact with air. It is not good for marine ecosystem, nor good for the humans. Right? So these are the 4 very important points which have been mentioned in the context of the oil spill that has been seen, or let's say the sinking of the ships, that has a ship that has taken place near the coast of Kerala. Right? So these are the 4 points. Please make a note of this. In addition to that, suddenly UPC can ask you, the discussion associated with the treatment whenever there is a oil spill. As of now, there is no report of oil spill. If it will also come, if it will happen, then automatically you'll have to read about treatment of oil spill. Okay. Next article. Nitin says, isn't it used for ripening of fruits? No, it is not allowed now. It is not allowed. Acetylene is not allowed. Okay, next article. The point regarding Emblems Act. Emblems Act. What is the Emblems Act? The Emblems and Names Prevention of Improper Use Act of 1950. Now, don't enter into the political debate that is happening here. Please don't waste your time on this. The story is very simple. And when I tell you the story, make a note of even the points as well. One of the petitioners approached the Supreme Court of India and filed a litigation. What was the point of the petitioner? A lot of times the name of Mr. Savarkar is badly used or used in a wrong context. Certain statements are given which are maligning, which will basically create a wrong image of the person. And the petitioner simply said, I don't want this to happen. So, what the Supreme Court of India should do now is a direct government of India to take the name and keep the name of Mr. Savarkar under the Emblems Act. Simple. Right? Take the name of this person, right? Schedule it under or classify this under Emblems Act of 1950. Now, if this is done, what will happen? Once the name is kept under the Emblems Act of 1950, please understand, the misuse or the use of these particular names or emblems, etc., will come under the government's power. If you want to use the name of this person and, right, let's say, write a book or something for that matter, in commercial usage, etc., all of this will come under the regulation of the government. You will have to take the permission of the government first. Right? And in case of violation, there are penal provisions as well where government can impose penalties on you. So the argument of the petitioner was a lot of times the name is taken in a wrong context, maligning is done. I'm a researcher, I've studied right about this person for many decades now. I don't want this to be done. Please classify or direct the government to classify, put the name under the Emblems Act. The Supreme Court of India simply asked a question. What is the right? What is your standing in this particular issue? What is your standing? Because you have approached the Supreme Court of India saying that there is a violation of fundamental rights. What is your violation of the fundamental? Where your fundamental rights have been violated? And finally, the Supreme Court of India has dismissed the petition and stated that there is absolutely no violation of fundamental right of the petitioner. Although the Article 32 has been quoted, no, there is no violation. If you want this name to be put under the Emblems Act, go right to the government, ask the government, give representation to the government, ask them to put the name under the Emblems Act. So for you, what is important? Emblems Act. Suddenly this has come into newspaper. So please remember, in the preliminary examination next year, they might ask you a question on Emblems Act. Next article, Center restores RoDTP scheme for export. What is this? The government of India back in the year 2021 announced an initiative, remission of duties and taxes on exported products, RoDTEP. Now this initiative, basically there was a deadline or the end date, and after the end date, that is 2025 February, after that there was no announcement of extension, etc., that was done by the government. But what is the importance of this initiative? What is the requirement of this initiative? The government of India stated that there are multiple exporters. When they purchase a certain raw material, they will purchase certain inputs, etc. They are paying taxes, but these taxes are not returned to them. These are not credited back to them, which happens if these inputs are covered under GST. For example, if I purchase an input, I pay a GST of 10 rupee. I will manufacture this and I will sell it. I will get a credit of 10 rupee back. And that is the precise reason the government of India simply said, because the exporters are not getting the input taxes back, they will add the taxes in the market prices. And when the market prices will, in addition to the taxes, the market prices will start increasing now. With higher market prices, your export competitiveness will go down. In order to provide benefit to the exporters, the government of India announced an initiative called as remission of duties and taxes on exported product, under which any taxes that you have paid on the inputs which you have not got back, which have not been credited back, now will be credited back, will be given back to you. Basically, that is the concept of ROD. Done? Right? So this initiative was launched to increase the export competitiveness. But the expiry date or the end date of the initiative was 2025. After right after certain months, there was a demand that government of India should announce the extension of this. Right, the more exporters should be covered under this. Agreeing to this, now the government of India has announced that starting from June, again the coverage will be restarted. Again, the scheme will be right covering the exporters. The taxes, input taxes, which have not been credited back, will be given to the exporters. Done. So this is an update regarding RoDTP. Be careful. Okay. One more question for you to practice descriptive answer writing. And I hope you understand and appreciate the reason why I've given three questions for you to practice mains answer writing. Because the prelims is over. For some time, right, at least for some time when I take the session, I want to give you more questions for you to practice mains answer writing. After that, again, I will increase the number of the MCQs and as usual, decrease the descriptive answer assignment questions. Despite multiple reforms, the Indian exports still account for just a fraction of global export. Just a fraction of global export. Discuss the factors behind this problem. 15 marks question, 250 words. Try it. Very dynamic question. You will not get the answer to this in the books. Please try it out. Next, right? Two more articles are there, small articles. One article, there is a publication from Australia. One of the, right, let's say findings, that is a Lowy Institute. Right? Lowy Institute in Australia has published a paper which has caused a certain discomfort, right, to China. What is the paper saying? Back in the year 2010 and after that, Chinese government expanded the initiative of One Belt, One Road initiative. One Belt, One Road. For a period of time, name also has been changed. So the government of China, while pitching this idea of a One Belt, One Road initiative, basically argued that government of China will facilitate growth in these countries, which will become part of One Belt, One Road. That is essentially provide loans to them, taking that they can construct, right, let's say highway, they can construct a port infrastructure, they can construct airport infrastructure, etc. So it was initially projecting itself as a banker, as a facilitator of growth. But mind you, when you give a loan, at one or the other point of time, the loan has to be returned back, the loan has to be repaid back. So now, right, the concern is on one side, USA government, unlike earlier USA administrations, current USA government is not worried about providing aid to other countries. For example, earlier there was a aid by the name of USA aid, US aid, that has been stopped, that has been, right, basically cancelled by the current administration. The argument is on one side, USA, which used to provide lot of aid, lot of financial assistance to these developing countries, they've stopped it. Second, what about European Union? Right, from the European Union also, lot of countries used to provide assistance to these developing and poor countries. They are more worried about Russia, Ukraine. They are more worried about what they want to do within their own economies, etc. So the argument right now is China has given loans. It wants to recollect. These countries which have taken loans earlier used to get aid from USA, aid from European Union, that has been cut now. The argument is very simple. These countries will face a problem with debt repayment. These will face problems with debt repayment. And countries which have borrowed from China facing debt repayment is nothing new as such. You must have seen in multiple countries in the past also. In fact, this is called as a Chinese debt trap. Chinese debt trap. What is the argument? You take a loan, you're not able to repay the loan, they will simply come acquire the infrastructure that was basically a collateral. And that is the reason you will see Chinese presence in multiple countries where they are owning airports, where they are owning ports, etc. That is a critical infrastructure. So the report or the study that has been published essentially says there are poorest 75 countries which will have to make a record repayment. How much? $22 billion in 2020. They are supposed to repay $22 billion in this year, that is 2025 itself. So there will be a lot of problems faced by these countries in repayment, and the true nature of China might also be revealed now. Why? From a facilitator of growth, now China might end up becoming recollector of debt. I hope you understand. Recollector of debt. Just imagine, When you go to a bank to collect a loan, how will the manager behave? When you want to take a loan, how will the manager behave? And when you have not repaid, how the manager will behave? That is essentially the difference between a facilitator of growth and a recollector of debt. That kind of a situation China is in right now. Okay, next one, last article. Right, that is a PTI offers affordable videos to YouTubers. What is the issue? Issue is very simple. Certain YouTubers have been sent with copyright strikes, have been served with copyright strikes by YouTube. Their contention is you have used certain, let's say, video clippings from a agency PTI. Sorry, not PTI, the other agency, ANI. ANI. PTI is also one more news agency. So, ANI, certain clippings you have used, either for 9 seconds, 10 seconds, whatever it is. You have used a clipping in your YouTube video. They have claimed a copyright. And because you are using that video clipping without their, right, let's say, permission, now we are going to cut or we are basically going to block that particular video. And the YouTube policy simply says if a YouTuber gets a 3 copyright strikes like this, if you get 3 copyright strikes, then your whole channel will be closed. Whole channel will be closed. Now, what is the debate? What is happening now? On one side, the YouTubers basically say we have used a clip of 9 seconds. We have used a clip of, let's say, 11 seconds. Yes, we have used, but that comes under the fair use policy. Fair use policy of YouTube. And more importantly, we are protected under Copyrights Act. We are protected under Copyrights Act of 1957. And specifically, what is the section they are quoting? Please remember the section 52 of Copyrights Act of 1957. And what is this particular right? Let's say section 52. It talks about fair dealing. It talks about fair dealing. Right? What is the meaning of fair dealing? Whenever you use, right, let's say the clippings like this for, let's say, recording a review, for, right, educational purposes, etc., that is allowed under the fair dealing, which is provided under section 52 of Copyrights Act. So this is one side of the argument. The other side of the argument is the Copyright Act also says the one who has created this particular video, the one who has created video has the complete right over the usage of the video. So different provisions are being cited, but for you, whether you're on the side of YouTubers or on the side of ANA, don't worry. What should be your side? Sir, fair dealing provision under section 52 under Copyrights Act of 1957. That's it. That's it. And what are the other two? What is the other important point? PTI and ANI both are news agencies. Remember this. Both are news agencies. ANI has been set up privately. You never know. UPSC can ask you this kind of question. Whereas PTI is a cooperative. It is a non-profit cooperative. And that is the reason now PTI has come out with an advertisement saying that if YouTubers want to use the videos that we are, right, putting out, because what the news agencies do, they will collect information, create videos and publish these videos, which shall be used by many other news outlets, but for a payment, generally for a subscription payment. So PTI has come out with an advertisement saying that if YouTubers want to purchase our subscription, it is available at a very, very affordable price. How affordable? Right, that information has not been provided. But ANI is a private owned agency or private owned entity. It is a news agency. It collects a lot of these videos, right, packages them and sells it or provides the services at a subscription price. And that is the reason why they have claimed a copyright over the clippings that have been used either for 9, 10, 11, etc. by these YouTubers. These are certain points associated with the news agencies. Please make a note of this. So these are the 11 articles as well as the concepts associated with the 11 articles that I wanted to discuss with you. I've discussed this in a comprehensive manner, again based on the requirement of UPSC, so that, right, you will be able to address the questions whenever they are asked either in the prelims or mains. If you like this initiative, do hit the like button. And if you're yet to subscribe to our YouTube channel, kindly do it right now. Now, if you have any questions, Let me know. I'll take up some of your questions. I'll address them and then close the session. Yeah. Any doubts, any issues or any concerns regarding whatever I've discussed? People keep on asking me when I'm discussing. Now you people don't ask. Subscription price, Lalita Prasad Yadav, my dear, that is not provided. That is not revealed. Basically, they have come out with advertisement saying, you get in touch with us, we will give you, right? Let's say we will provide the same services at very, very affordable prices. What is short selling? Harshu, short selling essentially is a practice in the financial market where you basically first you sell the asset and then you purchase the asset. You sell and then purchase the asset rather than right buying and selling. In short selling you sell and buy, exactly opposite to the traditional sell. um, what is input tax credit? Whenever you purchase any product, imagine you're a manufacturer. Let's say you're manufacturing this marker, you'll purchase plastic, and when you purchase plastic you'll have to pay taxes on the plastic. That is a input tax. And when you manufacture the marker, sell it to a buyer in the market, whatever taxes you paid on the input, that will be credited back to you. That is credited, given back to you. That is called as a input tax credit. Hari Om Kumar Gupta, between both the terms related to oil spill. My dear, understand this. When there is a oil spill on the water, because oil is lighter, on the water, a coating is made of oil. On the water, there is a coating of oil. Correct? That is called as oil slick. That is called as oil slick. On the water, there is a coating that is oil slick. And that is actually useful. Why? What kind of treatment should be provided to this oil slick? Lot of time experts or let's say scientists decide based on what is the color of oil slick. What is the color of oil slick? Based on that, in sunlight, they will look at it and they'll decide, okay, what kind of treatment I should provide. Whereas, right, let's say a fish will come, right, while floating like this, or a bird, when it will land on the water, right, the oil slick will get coated around the bird. When you have a coating around these animals like this, that is called as oil smothering. That is essentially referred to as oil smothering. Okay, done. Any other question? Okay, that's it from my side then. Take care. As usual, once the session is over, the PPT will be uploaded on my Telegram channel. Please download this. Thank you. Have a great day. See you next time.